What else do I notice with X levels? You know, is everything playing constant level? Go. So lowering down the levels. So to get more consistent level between the screen channels and the surrounds, with occasional few little spikes that go, you know, just for occasional moments. So but, you know, most home theaters can't do this because you know, things like that, you know, don't come with level meters. There's a few little things here in between that come with level meters, and they cost less money. There are other processors like this processor. It looks kind of rather cheap. You know, it's a little bit shorter height U frame than the SDDS. I think it might be about this height level, and it's 18 channel or something, whatever. You know, so it does that front wide and whatever. But anyway, but you know, a thing like a Denon Marantz, you know, the processor Marantz, just with the XLO and all that, and blimey, they don't even have an LED or VU bloody meters on the damn thing. For crying out loud. You know, if you want to add something like that, you could buy an outboard, very cheap ones, LED meters, and they'll probably cost more than my Sony SDDS, whereas I can't remember which one's which, but I got one of them for £60 and the other for £80. Can't remember which one now. Yeah, and that's over a 20,000 grand cinema processor. And you know, it could do other matrixing format things on it, you know, when you go into the menu. I can't link up the computer with I'm using at present, because I'd have to have another computer to use the remote software. And there's also then another switch that you activate. It's a secret switch, and then you can activate the plus 4 dB output. So it's running minus 10. It's running minus 10 dB. So you've got a lot of things on it, you know. You know, test and configuration and status and exit. And you go on to configuration, and you can go over to channel. And you've got all the trim levels and so forth, and then you go into it a little bit more, and then you go into the equalizer. It just takes longer to do it manually. It's quicker with the remote software. And I could tell which SDDS processor was playing what SDDS soundtrack last, because it also keeps a memory, like in the, you know, the CPU, my neuronoma terminator CPU. It keeps that stored, whether it's feature film trailers, and it also has ability to do other things like I think it's adjusting the fader level automatically. So it's got quite a few things, you know, and that's built in 1993. Or actually, probably this model came out just a little bit later, I think, because the D2000 would have come out, would have been the first one, and then the D3000 came out better, and this was improved. So just the levels, just maybe trim down just a little more. I've already checked with the sine wave input just to level check all the channels, or balance all the channels up, so with a 1 kilohertz sine wave, using multi-stereo mode, so it goes into the processor from the REM, and then I can see all the channel, all the output channels or input lighting up, and then adjust the levels until they're equal level. That's adjusting down here and matching the levels so they all match up with the surrounds and that. I'd have to redo it with the CP200 because that runs totally separate, even though it's on the auxiliary 1 at the moment. I'll go over to auxiliary 2, that's the CP200. I like turning the fader up. Feel that CP200 power under my fingertips.
Out of the car! Right now!
Camera really can't balance the color levels out very well because of the it's a smartphone and they're not very smart. If I use my DSLR camera, it'd probably be a lot better, and the Sony Handycam would also be a lot better for video, but the smartphones are pretty rubbish. If you get a bit closer to it, yeah, it almost works out, but when it's a bit distant away and you've also got all this other light around, it can sort of become a little bit of a mess and other extra colours get mixed in. Kind of like the sound, but I think someone mentioned something about sound recently. I think it's that guy that does audio accustic, what is it? Yeah, Dennis Foley, acoustic fielding.
What is a home theater?
What is a home theater?
We're going to talk about home
What is a home theater?
What is a home theater? It's a small room with lots of energy.
It's a small room. Well, that's true, and maybe false or whatever, but so what? I mean, I've worked in two cinema chains. I've worked for two major cinema chains, UCI and Warner Brothers, and there was larger auditoriums. There were smaller auditoriums with UCI Tower Park, and with Warner Brothers there was large auditorium, medium-sized auditorium, small-sized auditorium. You had the same film, boom, playing. You could put the same pink noise in. Yeah, might as well just measure it with pink noise, you know, because that's pink noise is your best friend, you know. Measure it with that, and it's like, yeah, it's different. The screen is totally different to relation to where the screen speakers are placed behind the screen. Okay, let's test it all outdoors. Let's take the same thing, everything, and we'll play it literally outdoors. Yeah, we'll set it all up in the exact same way with a projection screen put up, yeah, and play it literally outdoors, and then listen. First with the pink noise, set it all up, you know, so everything's, you know, and then listen to it. It's total opposite, isn't it? Because of you don't have wall boundaries to the sides, behind the speakers, behind the back wall, the ceiling. You got a ground plane, ground floor outdoors. Sure, you raise the speakers up high enough, the whole setup high enough, so far off the ground, yeah, and have a specific way for seating. Of course, mind you, I think most people might find it a little bit unnerving because it's very high off the ground. If you get my understandable meaning, it's going to sound again total opposite to what it was on the ground. Total opposite. And all this mud and soup, and there's a few other things in here that I just totally disagree with. Because at the end of the day, the dude is trying to sell you acoustic products, you know, really.
Theater. It's a small room with lots of energy.
And
unfortunately,
these
it's
people,
low-frequency energy, so
they always aim, right, at subwoofers. Really, that's so narrow-minded, really, because don't forget the surround channels can also carry low frequency. The LCR channels, the LCRS, the LCR, yeah, LCR, yeah, can also carry, or LC or 5 screen. They also carry, yeah. So this always, you know, just singling everything else out and just pointing out blimmin' subwoofers. Really, it's so narrow-minded. You know, he's going on about what frequencies, and you can't hear this frequency, that frequency, and well, heck, maybe I'll just put the Spectrum Lab so I can see what it's doing on the direct and look at the frequency signature. Of course, if I put a microphone in the room, it's going to be the slight opposite because of the boundaries of the everything, yeah. But it's going to be having similar signature sort of thing, you know. And every room's going to be different. The height of the ceiling, and don't forget, what's above the ceiling in a basement might be another room, and that base is going to go up, pass through that, and of course you're going to hear it. Therefore, it's escaping. The base is escaping, yeah, and it will just carry on up into the next room. And if you know how to measure certain frequencies with sine wave, you know, very low frequencies, like 30 hertz, is going to have a wavelength longer than your room, longer than my room. And then you get down to things like 10 hertz. Oh, come on. That's going to be longer than your neighbourhood. And then you get down to 5 hertz. Oh, crikey. You're talking, I think it's over a mile high or so in length, or mile in length, or over a mile in length. Crying out loud. We don't have homes that big. Unless you want to go out into the desert, you know, that place very famous in America, I think it is, a US, White Sand or Nevada, you know, where the alien encounter Area 51 is. You don't have to go near Area 51. Just go somewhere, boom, where in part of that desert, and you got miles, open area. You could go out there and do sub-base testing until you're blue in the bloody face. You know, test it of how far away and all this, because you've got a distance. You go and try and test this out in some car park downtown. Not possible. This car park is small. You go out to the desert, you've got open miles. And you can camp out there for a bloody week doing the test until you're blue in the face. Anyway, I've had enough talking about this bloody thing, because this is just BS. Just to totally depress you, and then make you go out and buy some bloody bass traps and all that. Bloody load of bullshit.